Welcome into everybody to another episode of SHL Tonight. I'm your host, Ace. Alongside me, my wonderful co-host, HFFO. We got a special guest this evening, SDCore. Corey, as you all know him. Corey's joining us as well. So we're very excited to break down some SHL action. Not action, but some draft action. And we'll also have plenty to talk about Corey's wonderful new guest on his forehead. So
we're gonna start there. Okay.
We're just gonna throw that out there right now. And just
if anyone has any door frames they love, never invite Corey over.
Yeah,
no, I have zero spatial awareness. Like, it is like a known thing in my family, and I run into things all the time. This was probably the first thing I ran into that hard that I just have no excuse for. I just didn't see the door that's been in my house for my entire.
I hate it when doors sneak up on me.
I do have one question. Like, what were you running in your house to get? Was it like you were really excited for a sandwich or something?
No, I was just not paying attention.
Yeah.
I was not paying attention, and I like kind of slipped because I have no spatial awareness, and I went boom.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So as you can see, the theme of today once again was going to be jerseys, but after what the Boston Bruins today, I'm not going to be wearing their jerseys.
I should take my
very disappointed.
My game's going really well too. So,
what jersey is that, Corey?
This is actually a Naval Academy jersey. So my brother went to the Naval Academy.
Annapolis.
Annapolis,
nice.
And he was roommates with the goalie on the team. And after the season, he's like, "Yo, can I get that jersey for my brother?" I was like. So that's how I ended up with it.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a brewery t-shirt from a brewery that I've been to up in Vermont. And every time my wife sees me on a podcast with it, she's like, I swear to God, you were shirtless for a second. And we're going tarps off, episode 2, SHL Tonight, on an officially league sanctioned podcast. Excited to be here, guys. We've got a lot to talk about. We did not get much done last week because we were having a lot of fun with the crowd. So it's going to be a little less engagement with the listeners here. If you say something worth talking about, not saying you're not yet, but we'll definitely highlight those. But we've got a pretty robust topic list to go through today, and we've got a lot of stuff that we want to talk about. Corey is not a talking Sylveon. I'm surprised from BV. So, Corey, shouldn't you be resting?
Yeah, I definitely should be resting. I'm definitely not doing that. I didn't not sleep last night and then do a draft this morning, and now I'm doing this. That's definitely not how my 24 hours has gone.
Love that. So I gotta first off beg and plead the SMJHL head office to get that draft post updated with the draft results, because it's not really easy for me to pull this right now. But what we're going to start off with is just from the sequential order of events. We're going to be talking about the SHL draft first and foremost, because that has had a little bit more time to sink in. And I got to say, we're pretty honored today to have the official first overall pick from last draft right here on camera and on stream. And who better to talk about the draft starting off right off the bat is the guy that went first overall. So, Corey, let me just interview you on behalf of the podcast here. We're not talking about Corey's face anymore. We already got that out of the way. We're done with that topic, guys. So I got to say, when I heard Minnesota was looking at you at first overall, I was definitely pretty intrigued by that call. I mean, I can only imagine you had a pretty robust conversation with Eddie leading up to the draft.
I did. So I don't know why, but a lot of the GMs had the assumption that Jess, Jert, and I would only play on the same team, which was not the case going into the draft. We would love to play for the same team because, we are triplets. But once Eddie found that out, he reached out to me. We had long conversations about the direction of Minnesota and what they're looking at, and some help with the GMing stuff and organizing teams, and because I've done it from every angle in this league at this point.
Really?
Yeah, I've been. I'm a JGM. I was an SHL GM. I was the commissioner for a while. So I don't know why I just said all that. But anyways,
we're trying to justify the reason why Eddie would take you first overall. So these are good reasons.
But I'm really stoked that I get a first overall draft card.
I mean, so on my end, the thing that I think connected well is that Eddie's been GMing for a little bit, but he didn't come in like he's a first gen. It's not as it's his first rodeo round, so he's bringing in someone with a lot of experience in GMing in that field, and I think that's something he's maybe lacked in the past, and that's a really big asset you'd bring to his team.
When we talked, he basically was like, I kind of got this job, and then, all the things have happened, and he's like, oh, it's good to like have someone like walk me through or talk about it, and it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, I'm willing to put the work in if he's willing to listen, which Minnesota's been great so far, so I have no complaints.
I'm glad to hear it. I mean, Minnesota's always been kind of in that like no man's land, right? For so long, they just have been middling, like always on that bubble, and then they just can't quite get over that hump. So I do think bringing in somebody like you can really help kind of step them in that right direction and clear up that stigma associated with them. Once again, I'm not saying anything poorly about Minnesota, but it's never been one of those rooms that I've heard, oh, I can't wait to get back to Minnesota. So really
Unless you're
excited.
Gibbles.
Oh, Gibbles just can't. I think he's got like a permanent apartment penthouse suite in Minnesota. He just have a revolving.
He's got a key to the city, 100%.
Yeah, so it'll be great. I think that look, the team has a plan. There is a vision for it. We have the prospects now. It's just getting over, which, like you said, getting over that like hurdle.
Yeah, and keeping your people engaged and liking what they're doing and bought in long term, because you can't have them get pissed off and want to get a trade out, because that really sends everything sideways. So congratulations to Minnesota on making a great pick there at first overall. Congratulations, Corey, for going first overall and getting that number 1 overall pick. Moving on, second overall pick. We're not going to go pick by pick here, but I mean, I'm the Aurora GM. I'm going to talk about my pick here at number 2. So I'm really pleased that we were able to make this trade work out, that we were able to move up to number 2 and secure Jess back in the Aurora. I mean, it's no secret that when Winnipeg had to go back into a rebuild, it really hurt me to make that trade to send out both Jess and Rashford, although it was the right decision at the time for us as a franchise. But when both of them left and they took on prominent roles with LA, and you saw the rise of LA immediately after, it's no coincidence. Like, and it really, it was bittersweet for me, because I could allow them to continue their career, be successful and flourish. But man, I wanted them back. And this opportunity to spend more assets and everything and move on from a really good player in Johnny 4-star as well. So shout out to you, Wicked Doodle. Really appreciate you as a user and a teammate, but had to move him out, had to move out a couple picks, and we were able to get Jess back in the fold here in Winnipeg, and things are just looking up. I mean, what can't you say about Jess? I mean, I know that she's always been an immense presence in our locker room, in the war room, tactically, everything, and I'm just so stoked to have that back in line here in Winnipeg. So other than that, we've got some comments from some other GMs. Let's go ahead and grab what some of those are.
Yeah, in the meantime, I'd say that's a fantastic pick again. Jess at second overall is you had to go first overall last time, but you got her in the 2 slot this time, and she's a wonderful presence in the locker room and does an amazing amount for the league. So that's a great selection for you.
Yeah,
just good. The least surprising statement of the podcast.
Yep,
I don't have to say anything. I mean, you guys said enough, and obviously she's like one of my best friends, so it's kind of like weird to talk about her anyway. So I'll just say that she's over there, and
never say anything nice about your friends. Only
I know,
say
and I know she was happy to. She really wanted to go back somewhere like in Winnipeg. I know she enjoyed her time there. So
LA had me sweating, though. There was a lot of rumors about them getting that number 2 pick. But I was happy to.
I thought they were gunning for it.
I was happy to jump in there and get that done. So moving on, we're not going to turn this into the Ace pod that Ace talks about all things Ace. This is a league podcast. Happy to go on other topics. So we reached out to GMs around the league, both in the J and the SHL, to try to get some of their perspective here. And we've got some quotes from some other GMs. So right off the bat, Hiff, I'm going to hand it over to you if you want to jump in and share some details about what the Manhattan Rage and what Koa had to say.
Yeah, so the Manhattan Rage, they moved out this class. They've moved out like the past 3 or 4. Basically, they said their roster was full. They have the personnel they need, the replacements that are required, and are in position to draft people as a means of active individuals coming in. They don't have spots for them in the future, and they don't see them coming in a timeline to replace the people they have. So they move the picks out to the future, either to acquire more assets or to be able to acquire people who would be able to become replacements in the future.
Yeah, I mean, Corey, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that seems reasonable. I mean, they've been in a good spot. I really like what they've done there, actually. But I always moving. I mean, I essentially did that in the J over the last couple seasons too. It's good for a team to know and understand where their window is and use the available assets like properly. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice to see that. I like it when you can see GMs actively thinking about stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, you've got to understand when your window is, when you have the budget for it to make these selections. Because if you're just going to start arbitrarily adding prospects in the second and third round that have, statistically speaking, I'm not saying that there aren't outliers, but, in the second and third round, statistically speaking, there's a much lower chance of them actually panning out into the SHL roster. So if you're going to be throwing away budget in year 2 and year 3 of their development with a really low chance of them panning out, if you're actually truly trying to contend, that's not the right choice for you as a franchise. You're much better served going out and spending that budget on like a retained max salary player or something along those lines. So yeah, I think it's wise from Koa. I'm trying to find that quote from our wonderful commissioner about Manhattan's draft selection. I believe that he said, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the exact quote in Discord. One of these days you're going to have to make a goddamn selection, I believe is what he said. So just paraphrasing there. So that's the official statement from the SHL commissioner, that Manhattan needs to make a pick one of these days.
Or they fold as a franchise? Is that the implied?
I don't know. I don't know what the ultimatum was.
There's got to be something, right?
There's definitely got to be some sort of consequence that's going to come to the Manhattan Rage if they don't make a selection. So I'll go ahead and talk about Buffalo. Buffalo had just a few comments. Buffalo Stampede, specifically Fantabin, said regarding BV, they knew that was their direction on January 20th. It was entirely pointed in that direction by HFFO, and HFFO is going to take full credit for that. So that's really good.
I could. He told me I could, because he's like, oh, I'm looking at goalies this draft. And I'm like, just scout BV, you'll be good. Like, you don't need anything else. If you're going to take in the top 10, like, you're chilling. Yeah.
And I will say firsthand that I had amazing scouting conversations with BV. One of my favorite scouting chats that I've ever had. We got into Pokemon talk as well. So it was really enlightening and delightful. And you can't go wrong with that pick for Buffalo. And good to see that we have some users really buoying the value of goaltending in the SHL, because for so long, goalies are like, even if they were a great, reliable user, it's like, oh, you're probably going to be there in the second round. And, that says a lot about BV's character, that she was able to elevate her draft stock that much despite being a goaltender.
Yeah, that's like purely almost off value of being like an amazing user rather than
for sure
a valuable player off the goalie spot. So that's
the OP Squid says some LR issues though.
Yeah, Squid, you're the LR issue. I saw your hat today in the locker room. He had a hat today that says "Mom Pleaser."
I mean, moms need to be pleased too. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right, we're moving on. Corey, do you have the comments for Chicago?
I do.
All right, why don't you go ahead and break that down for everybody here?
Okay, so Slicer and Nike on trading plus Barron. So they said that trading to 12 to get a longtime Chicago player who fits the rebuild window took Barron at 13. I don't know how to say that name. I don't really want to butcher that. River.
Ekaterina Volkova?
Yeah, there you go. A well-known user on our team and earning very high. Oh, very well. Very high on our list. We thought we wouldn't get them, and it was a no-brainer. We had Barron graded out and expected to end up drafted in top 10.
Why am I having the concussed guy read text?
I don't know. Why are you having me read this?
Do you need glasses too? Like, is that just?
I have glasses. I'm just not wearing them.
That's
All
right.
right. Well,
Because,
that's
you know,
so you didn't find the glasses like you didn't find that door frame.
yeah.
Okay.
Conversations pre-draft were fun. And with the last 2 seasons of strengthening our pipeline to Vancouver, from Vancouver to Chicago draftees, we knew that Barron would fit right in. As Raf and Noxu, is that how you say that? Noxu?
Yeah.
Did
Noxu,
an
yeah.
S80 draft. It was a really no-brainer pick. Slicer, I love you, but I'm not reading the rest of this. This is so long.
We got a player we think graded out higher than the pick where we were selecting, and we ended up with a. God, I just drank too much beer too fast. Woo! We ended up with a
starting really well.
fun and positive addition to our already solid core group in our locker room. Super excited to have Barron in Chicago and see what River can do in the SHL in a couple seasons.
Yeah, they're a media powerhouse in the ISFL, so I think they're going to be doing fine for earning money completely. Yeah, that's going to be a good pick. They're a great person.
I've been in Chicago's locker room for like 5 years. Barron's going to fit right in. Like,
although they are currently they're in Vancouver, they are rewatching all the Star Wars movies, and they actively watched the holiday special. They didn't have to; no one would have judged them, but they chose to do it out of sheer determination. So that's the kind of person you're getting.
Wait, weren't they just watching
Happy Life
all
Day.
of the
Ghibli movies? Yeah,
it's a cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Ghibli updated in ranks from Barron.
All right. So now we have a quick comment from Montreal. So Camp and Killer. He provided a comment regarding contextually, specifically, the decision on moving out number 2 overall. So why did I trade 2? Because we're finally in the position to get a little aggressive and leverage our picks to get some pieces to round out our core and win a cup or 7. And that was really it. So
no, he said blue looks like the logo. He said it's the exact image of the logo.
I mean, have you seen that picture of him?
Yeah, he did take a picture with a toque and the pipe. It's beautiful.
I'm like, it's so.
Yep, still no shirt, baby. No shirt.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick. Flu's a great person to bring in the locker room. He's got some excellent high talent users around that 73 class with
Flu.
Talk as well. 7. I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but there's a lot of really good nearing the peak users on that team. They're going to be really strong for the near future.
Yeah, and they just acquired like a high-end, like 1800 TPE forward. I forget who they got. Who do they get?
Johnny 4-star and you mean in FA or trade?
No, in trade. In that same deal, they got 2 players.
Yeah, it was Florian in the trade. It was
Florian
4-star and Florian.
4-star, yeah.
Which
Florian
is Flu.
was the one I was thinking about. Oh, okay. All right. I don't know why I was thinking he was acquired via the draft or something, but my brain no worky. That's fine. All right, moving on. We have just a robust testimonial from Wally that I'm going to do my best.
I'm not reading this one.
Paraphrase.
I won't make it through it.
He also wrote it while driving, I'm pretty sure, which is impressive.
Wally driving, always driving. At 4 overall, we were looking for a high energy prospect. We wanted to make sure that we nailed this one. So a few of us had conversations shortly after we acquired the pick. Our main driver was that we didn't need earners. We needed locker room cultivators. All you needed to do was look as far as the rookie Discord room, and you see a few of our guys fit that niche, but none more than rookie did. At 10 and 11, we were looking for SHL veteran user presences that we felt were great personalities and could depend on to poke the locker room every once in a while, offer some advice, and frankly be able to provide input and conversation. Both Yurt and Zoram fit that perfectly. Yurt, whatever you want to call it. While I've always loved Jurt, Zoram was a user that has always intrigued me, and I've wanted to share some space with. It's a weird way of saying that. I didn't think we would have had a chance to draft them, to be honest. So that was a surprise. At 15, Servo paired very well with the rest of our targets on the board, where I thought they would fall. I've often been able to find that if you can partner pick J players from J teams with quality GMs, that building excitement multiplies when they make the jump together, especially when they're going to be part of the future core. At 21, we got Gibson. It was his activity in the rookie Discord that sold us, though. We knew we could get a great goalie in the second round, but with 0-1 still on the board, we were a bit shocked and simply move up that goalie trajectory a tad. He has been an awesome ad. Following that at 23, Rizuko. So long story. This has not been a long story short, Wally. I had him pegged for a late first, phrasing, but that bank account really didn't do him any favors. However, one aspect of scouting is that not everyone has knowing he was going to be doing some simming, as he was hired for that in season 81. I think the energy he brings will make this an absolute steal. All in all, we have seen teams load up on top picks before to kick off a rebuild. However, we didn't have all the assets to essentially move up that much up the board. We had volume, but I give my respects to our draft prep team. I think nearly every player we drafted could have gone top 10 for their own reasons. Baltimore is alive, and I couldn't be happier. So
sounds like you could have just said BPA and we could have moved forward, right?
Yeah, definitely, probably good enough there. Yeah, Wally Riz on Zoram. Yeah.
Respect it.
Zoram that late is a huge still. I think Miko Rashford meant steal, but that's okay. Is Ace naked for a reason, or
it's for the views?
we gotta get these views up. Yeah.
HO's on our ass saying if we don't get the view count up, we gotta cut Corey.
They're gonna shut the studio down.
Yeah,
they're cutting budget.
I'm not in the budget.
Yeah, we put you in the budget. We just kind of embezzled your money, but don't worry about that.
Great.
Oh yeah. So before we jump over to the J draft, any particular things that you guys want to kind of touch on and summarize real quick?
I just want to say that I do think this draft had a lot of like incredible users that perhaps didn't get the respect prior to the draft they deserved. Some people might have thought the class was a bit thinner or not as deep, or maybe lacking in high-end talent. But there was some fantastic, talkative, friendly, fun to talk to users who I think will be around for a long time and contribute a lot to the league. So I'm excited to see their journey with their first player and what they do in the SHL.
Absolutely. Corey, any concluding thoughts on the SHL draft?
I think it was a really good one. I think that everyone kind of got to a location that I think is going to fit well. I mean, I'm in the class, so I got to know a lot of the people and I knew a lot of them. And I have not heard one complaint from anyone yet that they're either unhappy at the team that brought them in or not, but I guess it is a little early for that. Yeah, maybe not the biggest class, but I really do think that there were some really strong power users. And especially with this J draft, which is just way too big, that happened today.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to the recruitment team, and we're going to talk about the SMJHL draft in a second, but Naomi and the recruitment team did yeoman's work today or this season to really pack this J draft. And
absolute unit of a J draft. Absolutely.
Just fantastic. Good to see. We've got a wonderful sponsor to talk about for today's episode. The SHL graphics team have kindly requested that you guys keep in mind that there is a 2x graphic and video bonus week here. There's multiple weeks going on. If you can't look at your screen and read those, that's a you problem. But from February 3rd to February 9th, that is this week. It ends tomorrow. You get double IHF World Juniors graphics. You get double draft video payout. So keep an eye out for that. And then next week, starting on Monday, you're going to have double draft graphics week. So get those graphic graphs put together. And Bjarni wants to join the call today. So he's got opinions. But yeah, thanks again for the SHL graphics team for providing this. And we're happy to share the message along.
Also, that's a great render. That's Vrain's player. And he's just Spaceman Spiff is awesome.
Let's go ahead and stop sharing. There we go. All right. Do you have a handy list of the draft selections, Corey, that I can reference for the J?
I mean,
might be able to screenshot pick by like I lost the print privilege to be Corey. But you could just screenshot the official picks channel. We could bring it over.
Yeah, that'll help.
Oh my God, there's like 70, 80 picks though.
HFFO is less bald than I was led to believe.
Original. No one said that one yet.
First one. Yep.
I feel like I'm leaking something by doing this. I don't know if I like doing this.
You're just showing the picks. The picks already happened. We're in the draft stream.
It feels weird.
If we wanted to leak something, we could have 7
I
making
wonder
fun
if
of
I have
Shawnee the whole
access to it. Oh no, I don't.
Aren't you still in there?
I'm not JHO anymore. No,
Oh, when did that change? I don't pay
I got
attention.
fired.
Okay, this is going to take forever to do.
Well, what we could do instead is if you have any specific rookies you want to talk about in the draft. I do know first overall was Captain Cooper, which is the Texas GM. He went to Detroit, where his last player was. He's a part of that locker room. They have a genuinely horrifying beans gift that gives me nightmares to this day. But he's one of the friendliest people I've met in sim leagues ever. I've never heard him say a bad thing about someone else, even though I've tried to convince him to. Begged him to really for the new year, but he wouldn't do it. But yeah, he's a great guy, and he's gonna fit in well in Detroit, and they're getting a wonderful gem of a user there.
Yeah, I mean, I could just go. It's probably easier if I just go over it. Yeah. So the first overall was Captain Cooper. Toaster was second overall. New, I think, in nets of new create, and then Fuzz went third. Emo LeBron fourth.
I really hope that Fuzz can get back into the league the way that he used to be, because he was such a great user for our community, and
everything's obviously the awards committee has been massive.
Yeah, it's such a great user. It is a shame that he's a Hurricanes fan, but hey, can't hold everything against these people.
And a Ducks fan too, like just the combo.
I was Fuzz was on my team in San Diego when he took his leave from the league, so I know a lot about, it sounds like he's back in, but he's going to take it at a much slower pace, I think.
Good.
Because he's such a great guy, such a good user, that I was really happy to see him recreate. And I think he was just waiting for his player to age out so that he could, because he didn't want to, I guess, screw us over a little bit. But things happen.
Yeah, the league is a better place with Fuzz in it for sure.
Jess says, I just want Fuzz back in awards so I can talk/argue with him about stats.
I don't believe stats are real. That's like math, and that's I don't trust.
I don't do math either.
Yeah.
Playing with numbers for the sake of numbers, I don't trust it. All right, sorry, Corey, you can keep going with the draft if you would like.
T Money went to Vancouver at 5, and I was really impressed with this guy in scouting. ISFL GM, I believe.
Yep. Arizona.
Yeah, and they were super cool. Really down to earth. Not to say that nobody else was, but
he's a really friendly guy. I do love T Money.
And then I know Emo from NL days, so it was cool to see him go. I'm not shocked he went to Thunder Bay. Yosh picking up all the old NL players. It makes sense. And then Kelowna back-to-back the Toronto GMs with Jay and Sparky.
So I want to talk about that, if you don't mind me jumping in here, because we do have some commentary from Pyro regarding these selections. So the Pyro Alpaca, shout out to you. It's been in our war room in Winnipeg and coaching while we've been going through this little rebuild here in Winnipeg. So happy to give him some time here on the pod. All of our rookies, regarding these two selections specifically, the Toronto GMs, all of our rookies from last draft had great scouting conversations with them, and they have a lot of connections with others in the locker room. 2 great vet picks to go along with all our new gens. The next one was about... Oh, we can keep going through the draft, and I'll just jump in when we get to those ones. So
we did skip a bit on the pick 2 Toaster, but he's been, I think, by far the most active rookie in the rookie Discord. Had some good banter with Toast, and he's been about Toast. But he's been a very active member of the league and very noticeable.
I probably should have paid a little bit more attention, to be honest, to this draft. I just was honest, so overwhelmed.
Not your fault. This is it's an overwhelming amount of people.
Yeah,
this is not
and
normal.
He's one guy that I don't think I even spoke with, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was making jokes in the JGM channel. I'm like, man, who is this? Like, people are getting drafted during the whole draft. I'm like, man, wait. Who is this person? Like, it was such a good and deep class, and that rookie Discord was popping.
To be fair, Flu had me use his sheet to make a pick for him, and I took someone who retired ages ago, so can't really blame you.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there were a ton of really good first generations, and I think we'll have some other stuff to talk about on that front here in a little bit. All right, let's jump back into the draft here, Corey.
We got Carolina picking up Eriki Kalia, Zinni user, and then Ryan Dino Nugget Hopkins,
Both are excellent
RLG.
first gens.
Yeah. I got really good scouting notes on RLG from my locker room, but I didn't have a pick until 38, 37. So I was pretty much like twiddling my thumbs in J chat, just like, all right, let's go. I'm not gonna. None of these people are gonna be on my. So, that's the one thing I think that was a little unfortunate with this draft was my personal team's placements in it. But we got great users at where we got them, so I do want to talk to them about them. Lord Birdman goes back to Colorado. Not shocking.
I love Birdman.
Birdman's great.
Got Great Falls picking up Moosey. And then we got the big trade.
Big trade. Ooh, big trades. Wow.
So, Nevada Battleborn sends Slava Kayasienko, Kiwi Soderbook Snooks, and Badger Hennessy all to Newfoundland for 12th overall, 43 overall, and 63rd overall. So Newfoundland's going all in with their with rentals to try and, I don't know, do Newfoundland things, I guess.
Well, I think this is Magenta's first year as the head GM, I believe. So this is a big first move going for
Congratulations, Magenta, by the way.
Yeah, big congrats to Magenta. Even though your profile picture still terrifies me. I know it's Nathan Fielder now, but it freaks me out. I can't say anything about it.
So one more time, what was that trade in total?
In total, it was. Sorry, I just got really distracted by it. I'm like a.
I think it's almost like you're concussed or something.
Yeah. So it's Nevada gets 12th overall, 43rd overall, and 63rd overall for three people.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's big for the J. I mean, as a former JGM and JHO, I can tell you firsthand that like J draft picks, those things are like gold for these junior GMs. Like with how short the contention window you have in the J is, like you have to be able to retool on the fly real quick if you're finding yourself down behind the 8 ball. And a team going all in like this on 3 roster players for basically a significant portion of their draft activity, that's huge. That is huge. So
I mean, you are bringing in users like Alaris though and Rengoku who are both really great people.
Yeah.
And I think that's always good. And if you're pushing for a cup and you can load all the way up.
Yeah, I love that. And Newfoundland's always not been afraid to be aggressive. I mean, in a league that's historically been hesitant to acquire, not even rentals, but just active
2 years
players.
left players.
Yeah, it's the GMs usually prefer to build from within and just do that through the draft. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out for Newfoundland and if FHM and the chemistry system allows them to actually get results with an elevated roster. So
exclamation chop.
I think
peculiar.
Newfoundland, that is since Jay and I were that GMing there, that's always been the strategies: be really, really aggressive in the trade windows and be really, really aggressive in drafting. And I'm kind of really glad to see that persist through like so many different iterations of GMs that have been through there. Now with Magenta,
it even survived Patty somehow.
If NL can survive Patty, it really I think it's done its work.
I was more shocked that I actually got to play for Newfoundland, and then I got to search the Discord to see what people had to say about me from like 5 years ago. That was a fun experience.
How did that go for you and me? I assume not great.
It was fine. Yeah,
did I say anything bad about you? I don't think so.
Most people do. I mean, to be honest, I say bad things about me too, so it's all good. It was honestly like when I was down with Polar Bergeron and Newfoundland traded for me and I had that experience, nothing but fantastic things to say about Magenta and Spurbine, and even the amount of times I get tagged to take shots and I pretend like I'm doing them. It's fantastic. It's such a great locker room, and honestly I think a lot of SHL franchises could take lessons on replicating the community that the
promoting
Berserkers
alcoholism in
locker
the
room.
locker room is
Exactly.
a big
Yep.
factor.
Yeah, which between me and Corey here, we carry that weight very heavily.
You gotta throw Yosh in. Yosh deserves some credit since he started going to college.
Yeah,
Congratulations, Yosh. Yeah, I mean, I died as a GM because of my alcoholism. So we're not promoting alcoholism, for the record, everyone. This is just a joke.
I mean, we have a shots ping in Newfoundland, so yeah, no, definitely not.
League sanctioned alcohol.
Absolutely.
No,
I promote it.
No, that's not a thing. All right.
I'm here as HO to say yes. Yes,
anything is possible.
All right, there you go. You heard it from
if you
above.
try hard enough, it is possible.
Alcoholism is sponsored here. I love this place.
With us on this, it had to get there sometime.
Yeah, me, the big drinker.
Frenchie was
100%.
expecting. Yeah, if you don't even drink, do you?
I haven't drank in 8 years.
Good for you. I'm proud of you.
No, I just don't like the taste. I would absolutely have crippling alcoholism.
If beer tasted like Mountain Dew, I'd be
literally,
yeah,
like no joke.
Oh man,
unbelievable. All right, let's keep going through this draft. We've got about 30 minutes left in the podcast here, and I want to talk about some other topics. So
okay, yeah. I lost it. I lost the draft, guys. Okay, so from there, Names Monday goes to Nevada. At that pick, you have Gabe going to Colorado, which is great.
Is it different because it's not Anchorage this time?
I know, it was right before Anchorage picked 2 at 14, but they got Pesky Perch, another super active person today, all in Discord. I was really impressed with them. And then Kotz goes to Great Falls, and to round out, I think the 16th is the last pick, correct?
Yep, that's true.
Anywhere Sounds Nice is the first round to Quebec.
Well, they got drafted somewhere, so I guess anywhere was nice. Quebec's a great place to be too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think this first round, I couldn't have thrown a dart and probably gotten a pick correct, to be honest.
Yeah, rip anybody's mock draft.
I was like, I'm watching this happen in GM chat, but I'm like, I don't know. I honestly, like, you could have put this in any order, and I think every team would have been happy with who they ended up with.
Yeah, just some great players for sure. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see this class. It's massive, so there's going to be some great users coming out of it, and hopefully some great media and graphics, because always great to see those.
Before I kind of go on this tangent here, I kind of want to just see if there's any concluding draft thoughts. I do have some comments from Kelowna about some of their picks here, but I don't think we need to necessarily keep going pick by pick here. Yeah. Any overall high-level comments about the draft before we kind of pivot?
I think that it was really a deep class. I'm interested to see how active it stays, because typically with really deep and big classes like this, if you can keep your players talking and you can keep your draft class server moving, your activity goes, you have a better shot at keeping things active. I have noticed that some of the bigger classes, when that stops moving, you start to get a little worried, and especially because it's a brand new partner that we like linked up with, and a lot of these people came from there. I'm really, really, really curious to see. But there were some surprises, like Dude Man falling to myself at 38 was insane to me. Great user. I was like, Dude Man 38. Yeah, like, let's go. That's easy. And then Golden Glutes going all the way at like 49. I was like, when people like that are falling that far, you just know that the class is like gigantic and good, and like there's just so much plethora to pick from.
And like I mentioned earlier, hold on, Hiv, 1 second. Sorry. Like I was saying earlier, like there's always a tendency for the J, and this is good, I think. It's not a bad thing, but there's always a tendency for JGMs to have that preference to go for that first generation player because they want to get that injection of life and energy that maybe isn't always there for a recreate. So that allows for good quality recreates like Golden Glutes and other players along that can maybe slip and fall a little bit and find themselves landing in the lap of a GM that is happy that they're there and available to them. So sorry, F, go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess my big overarching thought is that for a class this deep, you're going to see like what separates the really good scouting rooms from the good scouting rooms, because they'll find steals way down that perhaps they weren't able to scout them. They created really soon or late, and maybe fell under the radar a bit. And as the season progresses, you'll get to see just how much extra work was put in by these people who might not be the GM or co-GM, but they're just as integral to the organization and put a lot of work in, and they get a lot of respect internally, but maybe not externally that they should.
Well, it's also a great opportunity for these players and users that are trying to contribute more and find out what the inner workings of a locker room and war room is. I mean, the scouting, especially when a draft like this rears its ugly head or beautiful head. Let me just rephrase that. All of a sudden, these JGMs who are used to these smaller, shallower drafts, I'm sure you can attest to this, Corey, probably like, oh God, fire drill time. I need help scouting all these people. And all of a sudden, these people that may otherwise not get an opportunity to see what this operation kind of looks like, they're thrown right into the fire.
Yeah, this was definitely a fire drill kind of draft. People created fast and quick. So I I just personally tend to do a lot of my own work. But I had Grok helping me out, I had Ara helping me out, I had some other people, and I was just like, and I probably only scouted, well, I mean, I hurt myself, but maybe like half the class. And I'm like super happy with the half that we did get to, but I'm really sad about the half that we didn't get to. But having like, picks, my first pick was like 38. We were already going to go a little lighter on drafting. I really looked at people who were going to be those recreates that were going to fall a little bit because there's so many good new gens.
How deep into scouting did Discord start assuming you were a bot and start making you confirm?
Oh, it doesn't. I like take my time with scouting, so I don't message everyone
That's
at
his
once.
way of saying he doesn't scout.
Yeah, pretty much.
I have other people to do that. I'm not. We got peasants for that. Yeah.
But no, I didn't get that. I don't do the mass thing where all of a sudden they're setting up warnings. Like,
I tried
oh,
to
man.
message 2 people for UConn today, and Discord's like, "Are you a bot?" I said, "Yeah."
Count Chocula with a great point for today. First time seeing him, had no idea he was such a smoke show.
That's a good change from him saying, "Don't hire me to put me on the broadcast team." So thanks for the 180 chalk. I appreciate it.
So I do have some closing thoughts from the Knights on some of their other picks before we wrap up here.
Yep.
So Pyro said, apologies if I mispronounce this username, Kilopeter, Kilo Peter, one or the other.
Yep.
That's got to be one of those two. Really great talk with them. Think they have large upside. Plus, I like to take new gens high, almost like I just said that. Hoodrat, surprised he fell so low. Think he wasn't on a lot of people's radar since he joined late, but he had immediately fit into our locker room. That's probably one of those users that Corey was unable to scout. And then finally, Caleb, great goalie pickup, have only good things to say. New Hampshire native, Bruins fan, I concur. Great person. Probably fell due to last draft having so many goalies. Great draft. Wish the time for picking would speed up in the later rounds. So Pyro did want to make sure he sent a shot across the bow to all other JGMs that you guys are taking way too damn long.
This was, I'll be honest, my biggest frustration from this draft. You should not have mentioned that because I could go on a 30-minute tangent about how slow this draft was this year. I don't know why, but it felt incredibly slow paced. I don't know what was. Maybe it was because there's so many new creates.
I
wasn't in there
during the draft. I'm assuming it's people trying to scout during the draft.
How many Judge Judy gifs were there in the GM chat?
Oh my God, there wasn't one until like almost 3/4 of the way through the draft.
All right, so JGMs have let us all down.
One.
It was so slow. The man himself's in the chat. It was so slow.
It just was. I don't know. Like there's a lot of trading. It's just, I don't know. It felt crazy slow as a GM, and maybe because I didn't have a pick till 38. But
I gotta tackle this one head on. I'm sorry. Saying it as GIF is crazy. It's not a giraffe. It's a giraffe. Okay. I don't want to hear this. It's pronounced GIF. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. You're entitled to it.
It's sponsored by the peanut butter, and the peanut butter is fantastic.
It's definitely GIF, but okay.
It's not. All right. We're moving on. We're not talking about this anymore. It was perfect. Yeah, great. It
Yeah, I'm
stands
just gonna
for
backflip
graphics.
off the couch. Didn't
Yeah,
end
it's
well.
cool. So the topic I wanted to bring up was we just talked about how awesome of a draft that Jay had. So we'd love to break down more. If you guys, JGMs, if you're listening, if you have any further thoughts that you want us to talk about next week, please don't hesitate to send those over. We'd be happy to hype up any of your rookies. Welcome to everybody. If this is your first time tuning in to SHL Tonight or SHL content in general, we love to have you here. Welcome to the community. We're not all as much of a degenerate as HFFO, so you're
But
going to
some
fit
of
in
us
just
are,
fine.
and we
Some
love
of it,
you for
I
it.
mean, the other two of us on this definitely are. So, but anyways, the topic that I wanted to bring up with how deep this draft was, how good it was. And we talked about it earlier. We have some teams that just don't have any room. Manhattan said that they just can't make any picks. Is SHL expansion on the horizon? Corey, as a member of head office, I'm going to go ahead and ambush you.
I
right
literally told Finn like not but 2 hours ago. I'm like, he's gonna say something. He's gonna ask me. I'm like, what do I say? I can't comment.
I declined to comment pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights.
Pretty much.
Leave it to the Canadian to like recite that regarding.
Did
the
you know in
Fifth Amendment.
Canada not commenting is actually
Look,
an admission of guilt? Fun fact.
Head office, both Jay and SHL head office are very aware of this, and we always consider everything, and we're very aware, but I cannot directly comment.
Of course,
whether
no
or
official comments, but I mean, from just a member of the community here, but not an official HO member. I mean, I feel like for me, speaking of it, right now, my budget is like, I've already got everything planned out for the next 4 or 5 seasons. I already have my roster planned out for the next 4 or 5 seasons. If we're going to inject another 50 users, like obviously I wish that I had the draft picks to bring in awesome users to my locker room, but I am limited to 3 lines of forwards and 3 defense pairings and a starting goalie and an active backup goalie, because it doesn't make sense to have an active as a backup goalie. There's only so many spots. So the logical response is, do we open up 4th lines again, or do we expand? And I think the answer is always going to be expansion there. So I'm really intrigued to see what that looks like down the road, if this is something, that we have to pursue and have to consider. But, obviously
it will not be rushed if we're doing it. I can tell you that much, and I will die on the sword that I am not bringing 4th lines back.
I think that's the right thing to do. I mean, honestly,
I don't
when you're
like
in a community
4th
like
lines.
this, who wants to be a 4th line player? Who
Yeah.
wants that? You're
I
going
think
to
we
get
need
9 minutes a
to
game?
promote active players being able to get ice time rather than stash someone for 5 minutes on a 4th line because we have to. So
Rashford says Ace going to get fired again. It's maybe. Who knows?
I mean,
like
I've
to
done
live
it
in the
once. I'll
moment,
do it
baby.
again.
I'll do it again. Insert goofy gif. Bytor says Ace has 9 lives. Yeah, I died so other GMs could live. It's true.
I don't know if I've
martyr.
told this story, but Vandy actually died while he was my co-GM. And then we didn't know for a while. So I did end up letting him go while he was gone. But he was in the hospital for a while, and he legitimately died while he was my co-GM. So
Oh my God.
shout out Vandy
That is
for pulling through.
crazy. But yeah, man.
All right. Well, glad you recovered, Vandy. Weird. I don't even know how to respond to that.
It's just, you can't just throw that out there.
Toman also died. Tommy got hit by a car and vanished for 3 months. I remember that time. It was probably longer than 3 months. And then he just came back one day I got hit by a car, and it was in the hospital forever. And I was like, oh my God, thank goodness you're okay. Take that. My SHL GM has beaten death. It's a good point. I don't think there's many other GMs in this league that can claim the same thing. So
good claim to fame.
But
yeah,
I knew you were going to ask me. I was like, oh, he's there. I can feel it. He's ramping up for it.
it was coming.
It feels like you want to say something too, It feels like
your face is turning redder every time you think about it.
He's got a strong desire to leak.
I will say there's a lot of things that SHL head office does that I wish I could be more public about. But it's so hard to not leak something or say something when it's not not going to happen.
Everything in their own time. Yeah. You can't give it too early because things can change.
Yeah.
Baito says expansion means McScruff gets a roster spot again. So
Maybe Lime can get a spot too.
oh my gosh. All right. So with that said, I want to touch on another subject here. And it's something that I really believe strongly in as an SHL GM. And obviously I can't speak with too much context or experience with the J. So we'll have to get some commenters in the chat to get your perspective on the J for this. But I want to talk about the concept of realignment and divisional structure here. So it's no secret that in the current, just cadence of contention in the Simulation Hockey League, it is very cyclical unless you have a very savvy GM. There are some GMs that can maximize the duration of contention and some of them that just eventually, you have your peak, you have your valley, you have your peak and you have your valley, right? It's just a process. But for the most part, you're oftentimes seeing the same matchups in the playoffs, season after season after season after season. I contend personally that I would suggest that this league goes to a straight 1v8 format, one division per conference. And you have the top seed play the 8th seed, second seed play the 7th seed, third seed play the 5th, whatever. You get the idea. I think that would really result in some new and interesting matchups on an annual basis. There's obviously the counter to say, hey, what about rivalries or anything like that?
Yeah, the Baltimore Atlanta rivalry of like 12 consecutive seasons or something absurd.
Yeah.
Tail
But
is
I mean,
time.
It's hard because I'll throw it to you in a second, Corey. It's hard because these teams see each other so often, but it's usually a one-sided affair. I will be completely transparent. Unless it's like a middling matchup, it's usually not going to go in an either way scenario. So I can say firsthand, every year that Anna, Jesus Christ, I can't even talk my own goddamn team. Every time that the Winnipeg Aurora made the playoffs, we played San Francisco and we get steamrolled in 4 games every single time. So like being able to play another team would be really cool there. So what were your thoughts on it, Corey?
So I know that was a big frustration for like when I was in Chicago with NOLA, like every single season they would be, last team in and we end up playing a NOLA and like Joe would yell at us and I'd be like, yep,
what can I do about it? It's just the way it is.
Unfortunately, we have some limitations with FHM. And divisional realignment is something that I don't think has ever been talked about, but we used to do it in the J for a little bit, right? And in the J, you don't really see that happening as much, I don't think, as you do in the SHL. And I know it's been a big frustration for people. But I also think that there could be ways that we could fix it. I just don't know what that looks like without stripping it down every single season.
Yeah, I guess like for me, it really depends on the limitations of FHM. Like if they have, I don't know what set options they have, but if it's like you have a conference, you can have 2 divisions, 4 divisions. It really depends on what that looks like on that end. But just having the ability to have variety and seeing a wide set of options of playoff matchups and different unique things happening each season rather
Where
than
did Ace go?
He's probably talking to his dog.
Oh.
But yeah, I think variety would be, it would be great to have if it's possible.
For sure. Within FHM, it's not hard to realign divisions and conferences. I just don't know how we do that fairly. And it doesn't make the problem worse for another team. Like, imagine you're the end of a rebuild, you're just doing this, and then you get pushed into a conference with, another powerhouse, and you're like, well, like, or you're one of the teams that are brand like new or building or growing, and then you're just getting smacked around now. It's like, how do you do that fairly? Within FHM, it's very, very, very rigid on what you can do for playoff structure.
So I got an easy solution to this. All right. So we're at 20 teams in the SHL right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Add 10 teams, 30 teams.
Finn quits tomorrow. Yeah, 100%.
Wow. Okay, that's not where I thought you were going with that at all. Just dump 10 teams in the league.
Yeah, if every one of these prospects in the J that we just drafted pans out, we can fit some rosters in there.
Is this confirming the resurrection of the Copenhagen Pagans?
definitely coming back, as is the Vatican Vipers. Really
Yep.
excited to welcome them back into the fold.
I will be honest. It is something that we've looked into. And FHM has this really funny option that if you you can like auto populate teams, and you get some of the most hilarious brandings like out there. And like I just laugh so hard when you see some names and stuff that, because I've worked on the sim team for how long? Like I looked at it, I don't know, when a year and some ago, the custom playoff stuff, and like you would just be like, it would be like the Brooklyn Dinos, and you're like, okay.
I think that they'd be receiving a cease and desist from Colorado Raptors, but
Yeah, 100%.
yeah. All right, so I think that we'll put this one to bed, but this is going to be a topic that we're going to revisit many times in future episodes. I can only imagine. So just something to whet the appetite here of our wonderful viewers. We got some official head office comments about expansion and realignment, so we're happy to do that. Remember, guys, you're not going to get this hard hitting analysis on any other SHL podcast.
I'm gonna
So
get fired.
Or shirtless Ace, nowhere else.
yeah, right. You're just glad I'm this far down. You can't see my nips. So happy to really go into that. Thank you, Corey, for joining today. Before we wrap up, I have a topic I want to just kind of go on real quick. And this is something that was asked in our comments and questions thread. If you guys don't know, we do have a thread on the forum that says if you have any questions or topics you want us to tackle, please jump in and comment there. And one of them was about longevity. So what keeps us all coming back? And I think that's a fun conversation for us to kind of wrap with today, because obviously Hiff and I have been here a long, long time, and we'll talk about our stories and everything like that. But Corey, I want to throw it over to you. I can't even tell you, when did you join the site?
Actually, 6 years and about 10 days.
How did you find the SHL community?
Through Reddit, through fantasy hockey Reddit subreddit,
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Is that like an Eggy recruitment post or whoever was doing it back then?
Mm-hmm. And I was at work. I was really bored, and I saw it, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I've never seen this style thing. And I mean, obviously I've been here the entire time. I've been, through PBE and ISFL and SSL and a few other leagues as well. But I think SHL's been the one that I've been the most consistent for that time. I don't even have a player in any of those other leagues except for SSL right now.
So for those of you that don't want to do the math that are listening in, what season was that when you joined?
It was the S46, so it was in Jess's class as well. S46J draft, I believe. So it was the S47 create on my first player, which was Corey Kennedy.
Just a young guy, just pretty recent.
Yeah, just a baby. Just a baby. So what about the SHL really made you lock in and want to stick around? And obviously you loved it because you've done basically every job under the sun in 6 years. So what about it really kind of sucked you in?
Honestly, it's mostly the community.
Have you met this community?
Yeah, I know, right? And especially back then, it was a little bit more dicey.
Oh my gosh,
yeah. No, it's a challenge. It's a fun. I've made so many friends. Like I've literally been to 3 weddings for people at the SHL. Wow. I've met countless people. I've traveled to Vegas to meet Jess, just randomly. I've been to Canada to meet people. I've been to New England. I've been all over.
Yeah, you didn't make any time to meet me, Corey. That's fine. Unbelievable. You have me looking in the mirror, Corey, because you're like, oh, I've been to 3 weddings I haven't been to 1. I've been here like twice as long as you. I think that's more of like an indictment on me, though.
Maybe. I don't know. It's funny because the first one like broke the well. Like I went to Ham's wedding. And then, like, from there, it's like everybody else, like, it like broke the dam a little bit of like getting invited to a bunch of SHL people's weddings, including, like literally, I would consider like some of the people on the site as my best friends. Like, I constantly will tell Jess that she's like my best friend. I say the same thing about Juke and Ham and J&H and just like these people that I spent, especially during COVID, spent hours a day talking with, really is what keeps me here. Why I do so many jobs for the site, I don't know. I'm a big dumb idiot, I think. I can't help myself.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, like I see a job and I'm like, that might be fun to do again. And then I do it for a while and I'm like, I remember why I stopped doing that. And then like 3 months later, I'm like, I could do that again. It's just.
Yeah, Fanto brings up a good point. SHL saved a lot of us during COVID. It really did.
100%.
I mean,
For
when
sure.
I'm a people person, if you can't tell on the podcast, you probably can't tell when I'm being an asshole on Discord. I'm very short with people and everything, but I'm a people person. I love getting on a call and talking to people like this. This is what I do professionally. I jump on video calls and talk with people. So I really thrived during COVID because this was able to scratch that itch. I played video games with people. We jumped in Valheim and created like an awesome like village with a bunch of other SHL users. So I just love this community immensely. And I'll throw it before I go into my story. I'll throw it over to Hif. Hif, why don't you go ahead and share with the audience when you found the SHL and how you found it?
Yeah, so I know people think the SHL is like peak degeneracy for fake hockey, but I was recruited on HF boards in a GM league on site where you'd make trades and calculate your cap on the website HF boards itself, which is the true home of hockey degenerates. Ace found me there. He found Halsey and Jumpy or Pegasus, JP as well. We were all in the same GM game, and he managed to pull us in. And somehow Halsey and I have still stayed here, and JP dropped off a while ago, but he's here for a long time. Did a lot. And yeah.
And what season was that?
It was the season 6 SHL Drafts with season 5 Jays when we came in many moons ago.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like 2011, guys, like 2012, that timeline. So it's just so funny that Hif is still involved. I'm still involved, and we still have that track record that goes all the way back from season 4. I mean, we were narrowly after.
I don't think you got any recruitment TP for this either. This is just you didn't get any reward from me. Yeah,
honestly, Naomi, I'll be DMing you shortly. You probably going to need to get HO's approval for recruitment rewards. Just kind of thinking about it though, like shortly before we joined, did you know that the SHL used NHL 09 as a sim engine?
I did not know. That would have been something. I mean,
I don't know if that work.
I don't know if it's better or worse than SCHS, but
not well. But it worked. Somebody, the sim team had to spend all that time updating player attributes, uploading custom logos and everything like that in there. And for a few times there, we had people that were doing all-star events that were still like replicating some of that stuff in NHL 09, and just the amount of work that went into it was just immense. The modifications they had to do.
Cool. Who used to do that?
I forget exactly who it is.
That media was so awesome.
It was so cool, and I loved
that was years ago.
That stuff.
But I do remember about my first player. There was no update scale, so my first player had you could go up to 99. I had 99 skating from day one on my player. You could just have max attributes. I remember 900 TP was like, oh, that's like the max earner. Look at that guy, MVP right there. And now it's like, yeah, I hit 2K TP. My player still sucks though.
Yeah, it was fun. Back then it was a different world, like creating play-by-plays. So if you guys don't know, I'll shed some light. I'll shed some light on it. I actually personally will still stand up and say I loved play-by-plays because I put them into I crafted them with love and care.
100% depends on the person doing it.
100%. And you couldn't limit the rewards on the performance of the play-by-play because some people just aren't as good of a writer, or they don't have the time and to put into it. And there were TPE rewards, or was it money? I think there were TPE rewards.
It was capped and uncapped TPE.
Yeah,
part of the uncapped TPE
capped and uncapped TPE.
We're not talking about that right. That's a subject for another time. We'll talk about that another time. But play-by-plays are fun. So what we would do is you would get the box score from a playoff game. You get the full box score given to one person. And it was that person's responsibility. It was that person's responsibility to go ahead and look at that box score and come up with a script of the game. And these scripts would be applied to forum posts. And these forum posts would include graphics sometimes, GIFs. I'm saying it again, GIFs, like of a goal. And they would also be enabling the play-by-player to be a little creative too, to maybe add in some suspense that weren't in
put
there
in
in the
ads in
play-by-play.
mine.
Oh, ads, yeah. And I would straight up make up bullshit when I was doing them. I'd be like, and they've got a breakaway. He's in all alone. He goes backhand, forehand, and I'd post, and I'd wait 2 minutes.
And you sit there and you just like troll the
So
chat.
everyone's there just slamming the
Go get a
refresh button
drink,
on
come
their
back.
browser. They're slamming the F5 key on their keyboard. What happened? Did I score? Did they score on me? It was so good. And then I'd come up with like, no goal, it hits the post or whatever. It was so
His skate
much
blade
fun.
fell off and he tripped
Yeah,
on the ice.
exactly. Somebody threw a fish and hit him in the face and he missed the net. Some just creative, bizarre crap like that. It
But
was a
sometimes
ton of fun.
You wouldn't find out you won until the play-by-play was over, and sometimes it'd be like 3 a.m. by the time the person's done, and you're like, just come on, let's.
Like, I'm not upset that it's gone, but I do definitely miss those days because there was nothing more uniting with a team. Because, I mean, even with live streams today, somebody's probably going to be ahead of you on the stream. You know, somebody already knows what happened in the locker room, but they're not allowed to say anything because they're part of a sim team or whatever. Like, it just doesn't have that degree of camaraderie. There was nothing better than sitting together and you're in the same thread that you're watching the results and you're commenting. Well, there was no Discord. There was no, anything. There was no Last FM,
Slack or
no Slack. There was no anything. Chatsy was the other one. We were all just in the forums, man, and we were just grinding away, and it was just a different experience. So
we should also
bring
a lot of
fun
back. I think that's a good throwback.
3-hour play-by-plays were the worst from Fanto. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like you had some that were good, you had some that were paced well, but then you also had the ones that were either 3 hours long, or you had the ones where I'm just doing it to get TPE. And
I announced all of the goals and then said good game.
Or I'm gonna post everything in like 5-second increments and bang, 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 bang. There you have the whole game. So that's basically my snapshot back into SHL lore was play-by-plays here. So we're almost at time. Before we wrap up, we've talked about Corey's, arrival in the SHL. Talked about HFFs. I talk about me a lot here, guys. I mean, I joined back in season 4 J Drafts. Season 4
3 J. You were
Draft.
season 4 SHL.
Yeah, okay. HIF knows me better than I do.
Eric Chisley, third overall.
Yep. Correct.
How do you remember that?
Spend time in the
remember
SHL.
My name,
bro. I doxed myself in the SHL in 2011. Like I've been so far into this, like I don't even care now. That's why I'm on camera.
My
now.
first player's name is my first name and my wife's last name. I'm really creative.
Wow. Yeah.
As if
so
SDCore wasn't
your wife got married again? Took a different last name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, Spidey in the chat. Best draft. That's right, Spidey's
Kane
another
Webb,
one of these
what an
old
OG.
OGs. Love you, buddy. Glad you're
Calgary
back.
Dragons legend right there.
Jason 97, another OG legend. Eric Chisholm legend.
So people on old teams.
When Jason came back, I don't know if you remember, but he used to be friends with a guy named Giova.
Oh, I remember Giova. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were bonding about him and Giova, how they used to be like best friends. Apparently, Giova's doing really well. He's not back in the SHL, but he's doing really well for himself. Though. Shout out Giova, who I didn't think could read, honestly.
Okay, like Andre level?
Yeah, worse. Legitimately worse. Not like where brother. It's like.
But that's a whole thing with him. That's just like a role play. I admire that. Like clean Andre Kostitsyn is a legend.
He never broke. He broke once. He was in Newfoundland. It still is to this day. He's broke character once, and it was to apologize to someone. Literally broke character once.
He's like, how many years into this thing is he still going at it with?
He'll come every like 4 or 5 months and say
like
clean.
3 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had him in New England when I was the GM of the New England Wolfpack, and he was wonderful. I was so sad when his earning dipped, and he just like, Andre demand massive contract. I'm like, you're like a 6th line player, buddy.
First line, Andre Wen.
Andre Wen. I still
Oh my
get first
God.
line when from him all the time. That's what every 3 months he pings me with first line when, and I'm like, bro,
Make a player. I'll throw you first line. I will get a
So
team to put
good.
Andre first line.
So good. All right, guys, we are overtime here. We had a lot of fun today. I mean, I won't speak for you two, but I had a lot of fun. I appreciate both of your time. Any closing thoughts from you two before we wrap up today's episode?
no, I just appreciate you having me on here. It was a lot of fun getting to banter with you guys and, not try to spoil or get fired from HL in the process.
Yeah,
I
no,
did try to do that to you. Sorry.
I'm glad to have Corey on, and I just want to shout out like everyone who got drafted. I hope you'll end up enjoying the SHL half as much as I do. You'll have a great time here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Welcome into the community, guys. We're glad to have you. I hope you have a great time. Our community is very welcoming. As you can tell, we don't take a lot of BS. So if whomever you are from whatever walk of life, welcome. We're happy to have you. And additionally, on behalf of the SHL Tonight, we appreciate everyone for tuning in. Had some fun tonight. I hope you guys did as well. And we will see you guys next week. Until then, peace.